This is Top Accolade Global News Updates. I am Soibifa Jackridge. A police crackdown that aims to clear a poor suburb of petty crime and street vendors before the Paris 2024 Olympics is putting pressure on an overcrowded prison operating at almost double its capacity. Villepinte is a grey concrete detention center in the suburb of Seine-Saint Denis. It lies 2.5 kilometers from the Paris Arena Nord, set to host boxing and fencing competitions during the games beginning on July 26th. It is almost the most crowded prison in France. Opened in 1991, Villepinte takes prisoners from the busy Bobigny courthouse nearby for pre-trial detention and short sentences. Reducing inmate numbers ahead of the Olympics is unrealistic. We need to limit the number of people being imprisoned, but this is easier said than done, as I am under extreme pressure from everyone to be clearly more repressive, Matthias said. As of April 8th, when Villepinte was visited with local Senator Corinne Narasigian, there were 1,048 inmates for 582 places at the prison. According to Director Pascal Spenler, the penitentiary cannot technically handle many more, Spiller said. Yanis, a 20-year-old inmate, said he had been on a waiting list for months for a prison work program. One of his two cellmates, Adil, 25, said he had not met a reintegration counselor during 7 months inside. Ahead of an expected surge in the Olympic build-up, Spenley said Villepinte plans to transfer inmates to other prisons, freeing up 220 places. In the longer term, the prison will get a new wing, he said. In a letter to French prosecutors dated 15 January, Justice Minister Eric Dupont-Moretti called for fast, strong, and systematic responses to infractions that may disrupt the games. A Ukrainian court ordered Agriculture Minister Mykola Solosky to be taken into custody on Friday to face allegations of his alleged involvement in an illegal acquisition of state-owned land worth about $7 million. Solosky denies the allegations, which relates to events in 2017 to 2021 before he started as Agriculture Minister in March 2022. The judge set bail at 75.7 million hryvnia, that is $1.9 million. Solosky tendered his resignation on Thursday, but technically remains in his post until Parliament considers his request. He is the first known minister under President Volodymyr Zelensky to be named a suspect in a corruption case. The judge said that Solosky would remain in custody until June 24th. Prosecutors told a court hearing on Thursday that the allegations against him were punishable by up to 12 years in jail. Solosky was unavailable for immediate comments. Solosky, 44, has been at the center of Ukraine's efforts to keep its grain industry going as Russia's full-scale invasion has blocked Black Sea export routes, strained fields with landmines, and seen farmlands occupied. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau has said the allegations relates to a scheme to acquire state-owned land worth 291 million hryvnia, that is $7.35 million, and trying to obtain land worth 190 million hryvnia. Under the alleged scheme, the land was illegally taken from 2 state farms and transferred to war veterans on the condition they lease it to some private firms, prosecutors said. Solosky and his lawyer told the hearing on Thursday that he did not benefit from any such scheme. Kyiv has applied to join the European Union, and Ukraine's agriculture minister will be heavily involved in negotiations to integrate the country's giant grain industry into the 27-member bloc. Zelensky has tried to project a zero-tolerance line on corruption and last year replaced his defense minister after graft allegations pertaining to the defense ministry. USA Track and Field (USATF) is expanding maternity benefits for athletes, the national governing body said on Thursday, offering more support for women returning to elite-level competition. Athletes currently receive stipends and insurance for 1 year after a pregnancy ends through the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, so long as they intend to return to top-level competition. USATF is proud to continue to put athlete support at the forefront of our organization organization. USA Track and Field Chief Operating Officer Rene Chube Washington said in a statement, Team USATF's legacy of success and excellence would not be possible without our female athletes. So, offering additional maternity support will help ensure athletes are equipped with all the necessary tools and resources on their journey to gold. The announcement came after years of advocacy by retired American sprinter Allyson Felix, the most decorated woman in Olympic track and field history, and other athletes for greater maternity support. Felix called out her sponsor Nikkei in 2019 for refusing to guarantee she would not be financially penalized if she was not at her best around the time of the birth of her first child. Elon Musk's social media platform X defended publishing posts showing a bishop in Australia being stabbed during a sermon as part of public decision, rejecting a regulator's order to take down the content on grounds it is offensive and violent. In a post overnight, X Global Government Affairs account said the video taken by an innocent bystander should not have been banned under Australian law, which permits content that can be reasonably considered as part of public decision or debates. The statement from the company formerly called Twitter, which the billionaire bought in 2022, clashes with Australian lawmaker claims that police fear the footage would be used to encourage people to join terrorist groups. The E-Safety Commissioner ordered X to remove posts containing the video globally to stop Australians seeing them, but X has challenged the order partly on grounds of exorbitant jurisdiction. A court this week temporarily upheld the takedown order until a hearing on May 10th. The order has sparked increasingly heated public exchanges between Musk, who calls himself a free speech absolutist, and Australian officials, including the Prime Minister and one senator who Musk said should be jailed. Overnight, Musk shared a series of posts by another user which described the takedown order as part of a World Economic Forum plots to impose e-safety rules on the world. Accurate thread, Musk wrote to his 181 million followers. The e-safety commissioner was not immediately available for comments. The dispute follows an April 15th attack on an Assyrian bishop in Sydney, for which a 16-year-old boy has been charged with terrorist offences, according to the authorities. After raids related to the incident this week, police charged 5 associates of the youths, also teenagers, with terrorism offences, including possessing extremist material. The Japanese yen slid on Friday, having briefly jumped against the dollar and other currencies, leaving traders on high alert for signs of buying by Japan's monetary authorities after the central bank left interest rates on hold at its latest meeting. The dollar suddenly fell sharply to 155 yen from 156.8 before tracking back to around 156.44, still up 0.5% on the day. It was not immediately clear what caused the move, and the yen remained near 34 years low struck earlier in the day. The yen also briefly rallied against the euro, sterling and Australian dollar before pairing those gains. The euro was last up 0.7% against the yen, while the pound and the Aussie were up between 0.6% and 1%. Japan's Ministry of Finance was not immediately available for comments. One London-based currency analyst said he suspected the move in dollar/yen was down to opposition squeeze that sparked orders to sell dollar/yen in a nervous market. Traders have been on watch for weeks for possible intervention by Japanese officials, as even a historic exit from negative rates has failed to leave the currency. Bank of Japan Governor Kazuo Ueda told the press conference after the rates decision earlier in the day that monetary policy does not directly target currency rates, although exchange rate volatility could have a significant impact on the economy and the prices. As to whether those effects are good or bad, he said, the weak yen has an impact on demand, including some positive effects. This, in turn, will determine underlying inflation in the medium to long term. Japan intervened in the currency market 3 times in 2022, selling the dollar to buy yen, first in September and again in October, as the yen slid towards a 32-year low of 152 to the dollar. The yen has been under pressure for years as US interest rates have climbed and Japan's have stayed near zero, driving cash out of yen and into dollars to earn so-called carry. That is the size of Top Accolade Global News Update. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Friday.